Yalin always liked mornings on Kepler 4-5 to be. The twin suns painted the sky in shades of orange and violet, and the low gravity made every step feel light, almost like floating. For him, the orbital colony wasn't just a workplace, it was home. He had spent years studying the terraforming systems, ensuring the human settlers could survive in a place that was once nothing but cold rock and thin air. But this morning was different. Today, a small moment had the potential to change everything. He had just finished adjusting the oxygen filters in the northern dome when Mira walked in. She was carrying a stack of data pads, her hair tied neatly back, eyes sparkling with a mix of curiosity and mischief. Mira had been his friend for almost 10 years, long before the colony had even fully stabilized. Together, they had survived dust storms, reactor failures, and countless nights spent monitoring alien weather patterns. Yet, despite the long years of friendship, there was a playful tension between them. A lightness that neither wanted to name, but both felt. Morning. Yolan, Mira said, setting the data pads on the workbench. She didn't look annoyed, but there was that familiar spark in her eyes that suggested she knew he was about to joke. Yalin grinned, wiping his hands on a cloth. Morning, Mira. Ready for another thrilling day of saving humanity? Mira rolled her eyes but smiled. Only if you promise not to turn the oxygen filters into a science experiment again. Last time, half the colony smelled like burnt metal for 2 hours. He chuckled. Point taken. No experiments. Unless they're harmless. He leaned casually against the table, trying to look relaxed, though his heart beat a little faster. Sometimes joking around was easier than saying what you really felt. Then, on impulse, he added, you could always just move in with me. The words left his mouth before he could think them through. He didn't mean it seriously, not really. It was just a teasing thought, a playful dare. But as soon as he said it, he noticed the slight pause in Mira's movement. Her eyes widened, just a fraction, and then she laughed softly, though the sound held a tinge of something else, something curious. Move in with you, she asked, her voice playful but questioning. Was that a real offer, or are you just messing with me? Yalin blinked. He hadn't expected her to take it seriously. I meant. I don't know. It's kind of a joke, really. Mira tilted her head, studying him carefully. She said. Jokes like this can be dangerous. People might start believing them. He laughed nervously, scratching the back of his neck. Yeah, well, don't get any ideas? I was just thinking out loud about space or oxygen or something. She didn't respond immediately. Instead, she looked out the viewport at the alien horizon, where the first rays of the twin suns reflected off the domes and machinery. There was a quiet intensity in her gaze that made Yalin suddenly aware of the human side of him. Bold, impulsive, capable of surprising even himself. That night, after finishing their shifts, Yalin returned to his small quarters, expecting the day to end as it always did, quietly. With the hum of life support and the occasional chatter from distant colleagues, but around midnight, a soft knock at his door made him freeze. Myra, he called, his voice a mixture of curiosity and disbelief. Yes, she replied simply. It's me. He opened the door to find her standing there, carrying nothing but a small bag. Her eyes were bright, serious, and unmistakably determined. So, about that offer, she said. Was it real? Yalin felt his stomach twist. This was not how he expected the morning joke to end. He hesitated, searching for words that could explain the impulsive line he had spoken. I guess. I didn't think you'd actually consider it, he admitted. Running a hand through his hair, Mira smiled faintly, but it wasn't playful this time. I always consider things, Yalin, especially when humans make bold suggestions. Her words hit him differently than he expected. Humans, bold, suggestive, here in this cold alien world, humanity was measured not just in survival, but encouraged the courage to take risks, to make mistakes, to live fully even when the universe seemed vast and indifferent. Mira had just shown him that she understood that, so, without thinking too much, he nodded. All right then. I guess you're moving in. Her smile broadened, and the tension in her shoulders relaxed. Good. I'll unpack tomorrow. The next morning, the orbital colony felt different. As they navigated the narrow corridors, unpacking her few belongings, something subtle shifted in the air. The machinery hummed, the lights glinted off the metal walls, and humans, at least the ones who mattered, were reminded why they thrived in the galaxy. It wasn't just technology. It wasn't just planning. It was daring. The willingness to act, to trust, to leap into the unknown. Jalin and Myra spent the day rearranging the small quarters, laughing over where to put equipment, debating the best spot for the workstation, and sharing stories about earlier missions. Mira's presence brought warmth to the room, a reminder that human ingenuity often worked best when combined with companionship. Even the colony's robotic assistants seemed to sense the change, moving more efficiently around the pair, as if acknowledging that something significant was unfolding. Later, during a quiet break, Mira sat on the edge of Jalen's cot, gazing out at the alien landscape below. You know, she said, humans have a strange way of surviving. I don't think it's just intelligence or strength. It's boldness. Willingness to risk things that others wouldn't. Yellow nodded, staring at the shimmering horizon. Yeah, we improvise. We make mistakes. We help each other. And somehow, we end up ahead. Myra's eyes sparkled in the dim light of the cabin. Exactly. And that's why I decided to move in. If humans can survive storms and reactor failures, they can survive. Me, he laughed, shaking his head. I think the colony might survive us both just fine. But I'll admit, I'm glad you're here. As night fell, and the twin suns dipped below the horizon, casting a faint purple glow across the colony, Yalin realized something important. Humanity wasn't just defined by its technology or achievements. It was defined by the connections it made, the risks it took, and the willingness to embrace life fully, even on a distant alien world. And somehow, he knew that Mira moving in wasn't just a personal change. It was a small step toward the larger truth of what humans could be, a species bold enough to survive anywhere, even among the stars, for the first time in years. Yalin felt the kind of excitement he hadn't felt since the early days of the colony. It wasn't about experiments or terraforming. It wasn't even about survival. It was about humanity itself. And with Mira at his side, he knew they were just getting started. The red alarm lights flickered across the station's metal walls, casting long shadows that seemed to dance with each pulse of the warning system. Commander Elias Hart moved with calm precision, his training kicking in as he assessed the situation. Beside him, Dr. Lyra Vance's eyes scanned the station schematics projected on her handheld scanner, quickly mapping escape routes, maintenance tunnels, and potential choke points. They've broken through the outer docking gates, Elias said, his voice low but firm. They're not here to trade. Stay alert. Lyra nodded, her braids swinging with her quick movements. I see at least 6 of them, she said. They're moving cautiously, but they're organized. If we don't act fast, they could get deeper into the station, Elias thought for a moment. Humans were fewer in number, but they had one advantage: ingenuity. Technology, improvisation, and teamwork could make up for the lack of numbers. We can't fight them head-on, he said. We need to slow them down and give the civilians time to reach safety. He led the way to a nearby control room. From there, they could monitor the main corridors. Lyra followed, her scanner still active. We can set up a distraction, she suggested. I noticed some old maintenance drones in storage. If we can reprogram them, they might confuse the scavengers. Elias's eyes brightened. Good idea. Let's move. The control room was small, but functional. Panels of blinking lights and holographic displays showed the entire station in real time. Elias tapped a few commands, opening security doors to seal off the main corridors. While Lyra accessed the maintenance drone bay, the drones were outdated, barely functioning. But she saw potential. Give me 10 minutes, she said, her hands flying over the interface. I can program them to move in patterns that will draw attention away from the civilians. They'll think the drones are part of the station's security force. Elias nodded and moved to another console. I'll coordinate the crew. Everyone needs to know where to go and what to do. No panic, no mistakes. The first group of scavengers appeared on the main corridor sensors. Their long, bony fingers tapped the walls as they moved, and their glowing eyes scanned for movement. They were fast, alert, and clearly accustomed to boarding small stations. Lyra activated the drones. Small mechanical units whirred to life, their lights blinking as they rolled down the corridors in patterns that mimicked patrols. The scavengers hesitated, their attention drawn to the moving machines. One of them tilted its head, then moved toward the drones, giving Elias and Lyra precious seconds to act. Now, Elias whispered, move the civilians through the emergency tunnels. A small group of station residents, led by an older technician named Harold, followed the route Elias had outlined. The tunnels were narrow, but well-maintained, and led to a secure area near the observation deck. Elias stayed behind with Lyra, watching as the last of the civilians disappeared around a corner. They're clever, Lyra said, her eyes never leaving the scanners. But humans are clever too. We just need to stay ahead of them. Elias allowed himself a small smile. Exactly. That's why we survive in the galaxy. Adaptation. The scavengers were not easily fooled. They quickly realized the drones were fake and began to split up, moving toward multiple corridors. Elias and Lyra had anticipated this. We need another layer, he said. Something that slows them down even more. Lyra thought for a moment. Then her eyes lit up. The station's hydroponic bay, she exclaimed. I can release a controlled mist. It will make the floor slippery and obscure visibility. They'll have to proceed carefully. Elias raised an eyebrow. Slippery floors and limited sight. Perfect. Let's do it. Together, they moved to the hydroponic bay controls. Lyra carefully activated the mist systems, setting the levels high enough to cover the main corridors, but low enough not to harm anyone. A fine fog spread through the hallways, reflecting the red warning lights and turning the corridors into a surreal maze of shadow and vapor. Back at the control room, Elias monitored the scavengers. One of them slipped on the wet floor, staggering into a wall. Another hesitated, its glowing eyes narrowing in confusion. Humans were using every advantage the station offered, and it was working. This is working better than I thought, Lyra said, her voice tinged with excitement. They're cautious now, and they're splitting up. Perfect. Elias nodded. Good work. Now we need to push them back without risking ourselves. He opened a communication channel to the station's crew. Everyone, follow the emergency plan. Use portable barriers, close bulkheads, and keep the scavengers in the corridors as long as possible. Remember, the goal is delay, not confrontation. Meanwhile, Lyra observed the scavengers' behavior. They were intelligent, but they had never encountered humans who could improvise so quickly. Every trap, every obstacle, and every sudden change in their environment threw them off balance. Elias had always known humans could survive in hostile environments, but seeing it in action reinforced his belief. Do you think they'll retreat? Lyra asked. Not yet, Elias replied. They're persistent. But if we keep forcing them into mistakes, they'll realize this station isn't worth the effort. The scavengers pressed on, but the human defense measures kept them from advancing freely. One tried to leap over a barrier, only to slip on the hydroponic mist. Another ran straight into a retractable door Elias had programmed to close automatically when motion was detected. The station was alive with clever traps, each one demonstrating the advantage of human thought and foresight. Suddenly, one of the scavengers tried to bypass the mist-filled corridor by climbing a ventilation shaft. Lyra noticed it instantly on her scanner. Elias, it's heading toward the control room vents. If it reaches the systems, it could override our defenses. Elias didn't hesitate. I'll intercept. You cover the vents. He grabbed a portable stun baton from the control room armory and raced down the maintenance hatch that led to the ventilation shafts. Lyra activated a mini-drone to monitor the scavenger's position, guiding Elias with precise instructions. The scavenger paused, sensing movement, giving Elias the moment he needed. With a swift leap, he blocked the scavenger's path. The creature hissed, its elongated limbs striking at him. Elias dodged, using every ounce of training and instinct to maneuver. Finally, a well-placed strike with the baton sent the scavenger tumbling back into the corridor below. Dazed but not injured, breathing heavily, Elias stood in the vent, looking down at the fog-covered corridor. Lyra's voice came through his earpiece. "Nice work. Now, let's get back to the control room before more of them try the same route." As they returned, the station crew cheered quietly. The civilians were safe, and the scavengers had been slowed considerably. Humans had turned a desperate situation into an opportunity to show their resourcefulness. Elias looked at Lyra, who was still analyzing data on her scanner. "I have to say," he said with a grin, "sharing a room with you might be the best luck I've had in a long time." Lyra smiled faintly, brushing a strand of hair behind her ear. "I could say the same," she replied. "Your strategic thinking saved a lot of people today." "Most would have panicked." Elias shook his head. "Humans don't panic. We adapt. That's why we survive. That's why we thrive in the galaxy." Lyra glanced out the window at Arcadia 7. The planet below was serene, its turquoise oceans and green lands seemingly untouched by the chaos above. "And it's moments like these," she said softly, "that remind us why it's worth protecting. Not just the technology or the station, but life itself." Elias nodded. "Exactly. And we'll keep protecting it together." The red alarm lights finally dimmed, replaced by the soft hum of normal station operations. The scavengers had retreated for now, but the threat wasn't entirely gone. Humans had proven their ability to think quickly, adapt, and work as a team. It was a small victory, but an important one. As the night settled over the station, Elias returned to the modest room with the couch and the single bed. Lyra was already there, reviewing her notes and preparing for the next day's research. They didn't speak much. There was an unspoken respect that had formed during the crisis. Elias sat down on the couch, exhausted but satisfied. "You know," he said quietly, "maybe the couch isn't so bad after all. At least it has a good view of the window." Lyra glanced over, smiling faintly. "It's more comfortable than it looks. And besides," she added with a wink, "you get the best seat to watch humans at their cleverest." Elias chuckled softly. Humanity had faced threats across countless worlds, yet here they were, live, resourceful, and united. Sharing a room with a brilliant scientist was a small inconvenience compared to the challenges they could overcome together. And in that moment, the galaxy felt a little less vast, a little less lonely, and a little more full of possibilities. The days on Kepler 4-5 to be had begun to fall into a predictable rhythm, or so Yalin thought. He and Mira had settled into their shared quarters, their playful banter now punctuated by a steady flow of work and small experiments. Yet even in a world built for human survival, the unexpected had a way of arriving without warning. It started with a soft alert on the central console. The colony's long-range sensors had picked up an anomaly, an irregular energy spike emanating from the planet's northern crater. At first, it seemed minor, barely a ripple in the data. But as the readings updated, it became clear. Something large and unplanned was moving beneath the surface. Mira leaned over the console, eyes narrowing. "That's unusual. The northern crater has been stable for months. Nothing should be down there except hardened rock and old weather systems." Ilan tapped the screen thoughtfully. "Exactly. But these readings, they're off the charts. Not dangerous yet, but enough to warrant investigation." A few hours later, the colony's small exploration team suited up, including Yalin and Mira. Humans were inherently curious, and curiosity was part of what had allowed their species to survive and thrive across galaxies. The low-gravity suits felt heavier than usual as they floated toward the crater in a shuttle. But excitement overcame any fatigue. Outside the shuttle, the northern crater loomed larger than expected. Steam rose from cracks in the alien rock, and faint glimmers of energy pulsed in the shadows. Jalen's eyes widened. "That's new. Definitely not part of the original terrain mapping." Mira nodded, adjusting the scanners on her suit. "Humans love the unknown, don't we? We see anomalies and think, why not figure it out? Together, they descended to the crater floor. Every step brought a mix of awe and caution. The energy readings grew stronger, forming a strange pattern that none of their previous missions had encountered. Suddenly, the ground trembled beneath them. Yalan instinctively grabbed Mira's arm to keep her steady. "Stay close," he said. Mira grinned, adrenaline rushing through her veins. "You know, Yalan, humans are good at dealing with surprises. We think fast, adapt fast." And indeed they had to. A fissure cracked open just a few meters away, revealing a glowing crystalline structure beneath the rock. Its energy pulsed rhythmically, almost like a heartbeat. The other explorers hesitated, unsure how to proceed. But humans, fearless in the face of uncertainty, stepped forward. Yalan activated his scanning device, trying to understand the anomaly. "It's not hazardous, at least not immediately, but it's definitely alive somehow. Or at least, it responds to energy around it." Mira leaned in, her face lit by the crystal's glow. "Alive, you mean? Like a sentient form? Or just reactive material?" "Not sure," Yalan admitted. "But humans don't back down from things we don't understand. We analyze. We experiment. That's how we survive." The other explorers exchanged nervous glances. To them, caution was survival. But humans had another strategy: boldness. And boldness often led to discovery. Over the next few hours, Yalan and Mira worked tirelessly. They adjusted energy frequencies, monitored reactions, and carefully documented everything. Slowly, the crystalline structure began to pulse and sync with their devices, almost as if it recognized their presence. "See," Mira said, excitement in her voice. "Humans find patterns where others see chaos. We communicate in ways even unknown things can understand." One of the alien engineers observing from the shuttle spoke into the com. "Your methods are unusual. You engage with the unknown directly. Most species would withdraw immediately. Why do you risk so much?" Yalan smiled, floating back to respond. "Because humans trust in action. We try, we fail, and then we try again. That's how we progress." Hours passed. The sun's twin rays began to fade, painting the crater in muted shades of violet and gold. And yet Yalan and Mira showed no signs of slowing. They had discovered something remarkable. The crystalline formation was capable of storing energy from the planet's magnetic field. If harnessed properly, it could power the colony for years without relying on external imports. "This could change everything," Mira whispered, her eyes reflecting the glow of the crystal. "Humans might actually thrive here better than we thought." Yalan nodded. "And it started with curiosity. A willingness to engage the unknown." That night, back in the quarters, both were exhausted but exhilarated. Mira placed the data logs on the table. "I love that humans don't just survive. We improve. We find opportunities in challenges," Yalan agreed. "Exactly. And the best part is, we do it together. Alone, we might have discovered some of it, but humans, we amplify each other's strengths. That's how we become more than just individuals." Their camaraderie was more than personal, it was emblematic of humanity itself. Bold, adaptive, cooperative. The aliens watching their actions were learning something unexpected. Humans were more than clever and resilient. They were innovative in ways that no simulation could predict. As the next day dawned, the colony leaders called for a full meeting. Yalan and Mira presented their findings. The crystalline structure was safe, abundant, and potentially revolutionary for energy storage. The human solution-oriented approach and bravery, under pressure, inspired the other colonists and even the visiting alien engineers. One of the aliens, a tall, translucent being with shimmering wings, commented, "Your species. You confront uncertainty with confidence. It is remarkable." Mira laughed softly. "Humans are trained to survive and thrive, especially when the odds are unknown. Fear doesn't stop us, it motivates us." The meeting ended with applause, not just for the discovery, but for the human spirit demonstrated throughout the crisis. For Yalan and Mira, it was a reminder of something profound. Humanity's true power lay not in tools, machines, or calculations, but in courage, creativity, and trust. That evening, as they returned to their quarters, the two floated silently in the low gravity, reflecting on the day. The twin suns dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows over the colony, Yolan said. If humans can turn a strange energy formation into a solution that powers an entire colony, imagine what else we can do. Myra nodded. Exactly. Humans don't wait for perfect conditions. We act. We adapt. And somehow, we always find a way to succeed. They shared a quiet moment, the hum of the colony surrounding them. Outside, Kepler 452b seemed calm, almost serene. But inside, the human energy, curiosity, courage, determination was alive and vibrant. And it was not just about survival. It was about transformation. Humans had the unique ability to see opportunity in the unknown, to embrace challenges without fear, to turn even potential threats into pathways for growth. Zhao looked at Mira, a smile tugging at his lips. We make a good team. Humans always do better when we work together. Myra grinned back. Exactly. And don't forget, boldness helps too. A lot of it. As night fell completely, their small quarters glowed with the soft light of the instruments and data logs surrounding them. Outside, the stars of a distant galaxy twinkled in silent witness to human perseverance. Inside, two humans celebrated not just discovery, but the essence of their species, bold, inventive, unafraid of the unknown. The crystalline anomaly had been a challenge, yes. But to Yalan and Mira, it was also a confirmation. Humanity thrived, not despite the unknown, but because of it. And as they prepared for the next day's work, they understood one truth more clearly than ever. The obstacle was too great for humans, especially when courage and curiosity were combined. For Yolan, Myra, and all of humanity on Kepler 452b, the adventure was only beginning. The galaxy was vast, the challenges many, but humans were ready. The discovery of the energy crystal changed everything on Kepler 452b. The colony buzzed with excitement. Engineers ran new simulations, scientists debated theories, and alien collaborators gathered in the observation dome to witness humanity's newest breakthrough. JLN and Mira had become quiet heroes of the colony. Their teamwork, boldness, and problem-solving had spread through the research network. People whispered their names with admiration. Even the alien diplomats, who normally remained detached, now asked to observe their experiments firsthand. But with every discovery came new responsibility and new challenges. It began one peaceful morning. Yalan was tightening the bolts on a stabilization module when the colony-wide alarm flashed red. A deep, steady tone filled the airwan that rarely sounded except in serious emergencies. Mira rushed into the room, tablet in hand. "We have a problem," she said, her voice calm but tense. JALEN straightened. "What happened?" She handed him the screen. "A large energy surge? In the North Dome, the same area where we discovered the crystal?" Alan blinked. "That shouldn't be possible. We stabilized everything yesterday." Mira shook her head. Something triggered the crystal unexpectedly. Within minutes, both of them were in the central control room. Scientists, engineers, and alien observers gathered around the main holographic display. A glowing map showed the crystal pulsing rapidly, sending out unpredictable waves of energy. An alien engineer, tall and shimmering like liquid silver, turned to Yolan. "Your species discovered this formation. What do you suggest?" "We do not understand human instincts. They are difficult to predict." Yolan exchanged a glance with Mira. "This was not the time for fear. Humans face the unknown all the time," Yolan said. "We gather information, act fast, and adapt. First step is simple. Go there and see the situation ourselves." Several aliens looked shocked. One even flinched. "But the readings are unstable. You cannot approach directly." Myra stepped forward, her voice strong. "Humans thrive in uncertain situations. We learn faster by engaging, not by stepping back. If we don't go, the energy could spread. The room fell silent. Then the colony leader, a calm and experienced woman named Director Hale, nodded. Very well. Yalan Myret, Cave and Exploration Team. But be careful. The colony is depending on you. The shuttle trip to the Northern Dome was tense. The energy readings grew stronger as they landed. The moment they stepped out, the air hummed with faint vibrations. Mira adjusted her suit controls. It's like the crystal woke up. Yalan crouched near a glowing crack in the ground. Maybe it's trying to communicate. Or maybe it needs something we haven't given it. The team moved closer. The crystal pulsed slowly at first, then faster, responding to their presence. Something felt alive about it, but not dangerous. More like aware, Mira whispered. It's reacting to us. Before they could take more scans, a sudden shockwave burst from the crystal. The ground shook violently. Robotic assistance slid across the rocky surface. Yalan grabbed Mira's arm to steady her. Fall back. Someone shouted, but humans did not fall back easily. Instead, Yalan steadied his footing and moved forward. It's not an attack. The wave wasn't destructive. It was a signal. Signal for what? Mira asked. For help, Yalan said softly. He could feel it in instinct humans often relied on. The pulse of the crystal wasn't chaotic. It followed a rhythm like a heartbeat under stress. We need to stabilize the energy frequency, Mira said, already pulling tools from her pack. If we match its pulse, we might calm it down. The alien observers, trembling behind them, looked confused. Match its pulse? But we do not know the correct frequency. Yalan smiled slightly. Humans don't need perfect data to act. We adjust as we go. They set up portable energy regulators, placing them in a circle around the crystal. Yalan synchronized two of the devices. Mira calibrated the others. Sweat collected on their foreheads, despite the cool air inside their suits. The crystal pulsed faster, sending another shockwave. Alien engineers shielded themselves, terrified, but Yalan stayed firm. Hold steady. Almost there. Mira connected the final cable. Ready? Yalan activated the system. For a moment, nothing happened. Then slowly, the pulsing calmed. The vibrations softened. The bright glow faded into a soft, steady shimmer. The shockwaves stopped completely. A sigh of relief swept through the team. Mira checked the readings. Energy levels stable. We did it again, Yalan grinned. Humans. 1. Unpredictable alien crystal. 0. The alien observers approached slowly, their fear replaced by awe. You moved toward the danger, one said quietly. Most would retreat, Mira replied. Humans solve problems by facing them, not avoiding them. Another alien spoke, voice trembling. You stabilized something we could not understand. How did you do it so quickly? Yalan shrugged lightly. Humans improvise. We think differently. That's our advantage. Back in the colony, the team was welcomed like heroes. Director Hale met them with relief in her eyes. You two saved us again, she said. Your bravery is inspiring, Mira smiled. We didn't act alone. Everyone helped, still Hale continued. Humans seem to approach chaos with confidence. That spirit is valuable out here. As the crowd dispersed, Yalan and Mira returned to their shared quarters. The tension of the day hung in the air, but so did pride. Myra placed her tools on the shelf. You know, she said quietly, sometimes humans surprise even me. We make mistakes, but we learn fast. We take risks, but they often turn into solutions. Yalan nodded. Our strength isn't perfection, it's courage. She looked at him thoughtfully. Courage and trust. Yalan met her gaze. Trust in each other? Mira smiled softly. Exactly. They stood in silence for a moment, watching the distant stars beyond the viewport. The colony lights flickered like tiny fireflies against the vast darkness. Finally, Mira broke the silence. When I moved in, I didn't know what to expect, but I think humans can thrive anywhere as long as we have someone to rely on. Yolan laughed softly. You mean the person who jokes about offering a room and then panics when you accept? Mira chuckled. Exactly that person. He shook his head in amusement. Well, I'm glad you knocked on my door. I'm glad you opened it, she replied. Their quarters felt warm. Familia, symbol of everything humans brought to this alien planet: courage, heart, curiosity, and connection. Outside, the stars shimmered quietly inside. The human spirit shone brighter. Later that night, the colony leadership held another emergency briefing. The crystal was stable for now, but its activation raised new questions. Could the energy structure be part of something larger? Hale asked. Maybe, Yolan said. Or maybe it's reacting to something outside the colony. Mira leaned forward. Whatever it is, we'll handle it. Humans always do. The aliens nodded, learning once again what humanity truly represented, not just intelligence or strength, but unwavering resilience. The meeting ended with a clear conclusion there. Would be more challenges ahead, but humans were ready as night settled over. Kepler 452b and the colony drifted into quiet activity. Yolan and Mira sat side by side, watching the horizon glow under the twin moons. This is only the beginning, Yolan said softly. Mira nodded. I know, but whatever happens, humans will face it boldly. And with that, the two continued their journey, not just as explorers, but as symbols of humanity's fearless spirit in a universe full of mysteries. The days following the stabilization of the Northern Crystal were filled with activity. The colony thrived in a rhythm of discovery, collaboration, and shared excitement. Humans and aliens alike marveled at what Yolan and Mira had achieved. Their boldness had not only saved the colony, but had revealed the untapped potential of Kepler-45b. Yet, amid the success, there was a quiet tension in the air. The energy crystal, while stable, had shown that the planet was alive in ways no one had expected. It pulsed, reacted. It even seemed to communicate subtle signs that Kepler-45 held secrets yet to be uncovered. J, L, E, N, and Mira floated through the corridors, discussing the next steps. I think the crystal was just the start, Myra said. There's more down there. Something bigger, waiting for us to understand it. Yalun nodded. I agree. Humans have always thrived in exploration. We don't just survive, we find meaning in the unknown. Their perspective was exactly what the colony needed. Humans, with their courage and creativity, approached challenges differently. While the aliens often hesitated, the humans moved forward, testing, observing. Adapting Director Hale called an urgent briefing in the main dome. Humans and aliens gathered, the holographic display showing the full planetary map with energy. Spikes scattered across the northern and eastern regions. Some of these readings matched the crystal's pattern, they said. It seems the planet has multiple energy formations. They may be connected. An alien engineer, shimmering with iridescent light, asked cautiously, if humans approach these areas, could it cause damage? Yolan stepped forward. Humans have a saying, we don't fear the unknown. We act carefully, but we act. The only way to understand is to engage, Mira added. And when humans act together, we succeed. We adapt quickly, we solve problems, and we improve situations others might think are impossible. The aliens nodded slowly, absorbing the lesson. Humans were different. Brave, inventive, persistent. And most importantly, they brought hope. The first exploration team departed the next morning, Ilana and Mira leading the group. The shuttle hovered over a jagged ridge, the glowing formations shimmering beneath the surface. As they descended, the energy readings increased, filling the cabin with soft vibrations. This is incredible, Myra whispered. Humans have always turned challenges into discoveries. This is just another example. Yolan adjusted his scanning device. Exactly. Curiosity drives us. Fear doesn't hold us back. The team carefully navigated the rocky terrain, placing stabilization modules around each energy source. The crystals pulsed rhythmically, and as they synced the devices, a remarkable thing happened. The pulses started to harmonize, forming a large planetary network. "Look at this," Yolande said. "The planet itself is alive in a way we never imagined. And humans just helped it stabilize." Myra nodded. "It's not just survival. It's collaboration with life itself." For the first time, the aliens observing the mission began to understand humanity's unique quality. Other species relied on precision, rules, or avoidance. Humans relied on boldness, creativity, and cooperation. They acted when others hesitated. By the end of the day, the colony's energy network was stronger than ever. The crystals, once chaotic, now pulsed in a calm, steady rhythm. Energy flowed to every dome and lab, enough to power the colony for years. "Humans truly turn obstacles into opportunities," one alien whispered. "They adapt, they act, and they improve everything they touch." That night, Yalin and Mira returned to their quarters. The twin suns had dipped below the horizon, casting a gentle violet glow across the metallic colony. For the first time since she moved in, Mira sat quietly, reflecting on the events of the past weeks. "You know," she said softly, "moving in with you wasn't just a personal choice. I didn't realize how much it would teach me about humans. And about myself." Yalin smiled, sitting beside her. "We humans aren't perfect, but we have this, a drive, a way to face challenges that others might find impossible. And when we do it together, there's almost nothing we can't overcome." Mira looked at him, her eyes reflecting both admiration and warmth. "I've seen it. The courage, the creativity, the way you face the unknown. It's inspiring. Humans really are remarkable." He chuckled softly. "We like to think we're just lucky, but really, it's our boldness, our willingness to act when others hesitate." They shared a quiet moment, watching the stars glimmer far beyond the colony. For Yalin and Mira, the adventure was far from over. But humans had already proven something extraordinary, that courage, trust, and creativity could turn even the most alien challenges into triumphs. The next morning brought a new task. The energy network needed expansion. The northern crystals were only the beginning. The eastern formations required careful study. Yalon, Mira, and a mixed team of humans and aliens boarded the shuttle once again, as the shuttle flew over the jagged eastern cliffs. "Hey?" Mira glanced at Yolande. "Humans have always explored the unknown. We don't wait for permission. We don't fear failure. And we thrive in it." Yolande nodded. "Exactly. Humans leave a mark wherever we go. Not by force, but by ingenuity and courage." The team landed near the eastern crystals. Their energy readings were strong but unstable. The crystals pulsed wildly, sending vibrations through the ground. Most species would have retreated, but humans stepped forward. Mira adjusted a regulator. "We need to synchronize the pulses." "Same as before?" Yolin connected the energy module. "Humans improvise. We learn by doing. That's our strength." Crystals resisted at first, sending a few jolts of energy outward. But Yalin and Mira persisted, making minor adjustments, communicating with the formation through careful energy pulses. Slowly, the wild fluctuations calmed. The crystals began to pulse in harmony with the northern network. The shuttle's observers gasped. Alien engineers exchanged looks of amazement. Humans were not just surviving, they were shaping the environment itself. "This is incredible," one alien whispered. "They stabilize the planet, and yet they leave no harm, only improvement." By the end of the day, the eastern crystals were fully synchronized with the colony's network. Energy flowed freely, powering every dome and lab with ease. The colony now had a self-sustaining system, thanks to human courage, creativity, and collaboration. Back at the quarters, Yalin and Myra finally relaxed. The work had been exhausting, but the results were extraordinary. Mira leaned against the wall, smiling. "I knew humans were adaptable, but this is something else. We face chaos, uncertainty, and danger, and we turn it into opportunity." Yalin laughed softly. "It's what we do. We improvise. we act boldly. And when we work together, amazing things happen. She looked at him, thoughtful. I'm glad I knocked on your door that morning. Humans survive alone, but we thrive when we trust each other, he smiled. Exactly. Humans are remarkable because we combine courage, creativity, and trust. And we don't let fear stop us. Outside the window, Kepler 452b shimmered under the twin moons. The crystals glowed softly, a reflection of the human spirit alive. Adaptive and bold. Mira whispered, humans don't just exist. We improve the world, we build connections, and we leave a mark. That's why we thrive on here, far from home. Yalan nodded, feeling a deep sense of pride. And the galaxy will see it too. Wherever humans go, we'll bring hope, courage, and solutions. That's what makes us. Us. As night settled over the colony, humans and aliens alike looked at the glowing horizon and realized something remarkable. Humanity was not just surviving in the galaxy, they were transforming it. In the weeks that followed, the colony became a hub of innovation. Humans shared their techniques, taught alien collaborators to improvise, and continued to explore the planet's mysteries. The energy network expanded further, powering experimental labs and new research domes. And through it all, Yalan and Mira remained at the heart of the work, their courage and boldness inspiring everyone around them. One evening, as they sat together watching the stars, Mira spoke softly. Humans are extraordinary. Not because we are perfect, but because we try. We act. We adapt. And we do it together, Yalan smiled, looking out at the galaxy beyond. Exactly. Humans aren't just survivors. We're creators, explorers, problem solvers, and friends. And with that, there's nothing we can't face. The twin suns dipped below the horizon, casting a golden glow over Kepler 452b. The crystals pulsed softly, their rhythm calm and steady. It was a new dawn for the colony, a new era for humanity, and a promise of what was yet to come. Humans had arrived, and the galaxy would never be the same.